Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 1 to 4 player expansion for Dune Imperium, Immortality, designed by Paul Dennen and published by Direwolf Digital, who helped sponsor this video. Here, we'll be introduced to the powerful fringe society known as the Bene Tleilaxu, who specialize in genetic engineering, which many in the Imperium take advantage of, while still having some reservations about it. I have the original core game of Dune Imperium set up in front of me, and if you want to learn how to play this game, we have a video for that which I'll link to below. But here, we're going to focus on the new things this expansion brings. So join me at the table, and let's learn how to play. To set up, place what is known as the Bene Tleilaxu board in the play area and have each person take 2 of these new discs matching their player color, adding 1 to the space here and another to this area. Then add 2 spice tokens to the indicated spot here. Now find the 18 included cards that have this back, which show green symbols known as Specimen Icons in their top right-hand corners. Shuffle these into a face-down deck near the new board, dealing 2 cards face-up beside it, setting this double-sided Reclaimed Forces card to their right with either side face-up. On the main board, set this Research Station overlay on top of the old Research Station space. Then find the Intrigue deck of the core game and shuffle the new Intrigue cards of this expansion into it. Now each player takes 1 of these Family Atomics tokens to keep in their personal supply. Then have players go through their starting deck, returning their 2 Dune the Desert Planet cards back to the box, replacing them with 2 copies of the included Experimentation cards. If you're also mixing this expansion with the Rise of Ix expansion, which is available separately, and you choose to play the Epic mode, which uses this Control the Spice card, it will not replace any other card already in the deck. Instead, it will begin the game already in your discard pile. The game also comes with 4 new House Hegel cards, which are only used when playing solo, so we won't need these for now. And that's the setup. With that covered, now let's get into the new elements this expansion introduces and see how they work. As we mentioned, each player begins the game with 1 of these Family Atomic tokens, and on your turn, you can spend this at any point, returning it to the box in order to discard all of the cards currently in the Imperium row, immediately dealing a new row of cards to replace them. With that understood, let's next discuss this new Specimen Icon, which will be found in a few places, including this new card which we saw begins the game in your deck. Anytime you resolve this symbol, generate 1 specimen by moving a troop cube from your supply to what is known as the axolotl tank space. Now, there's no limit to how many specimens can be added to this space over the course of the game, and they'll stay here round after round until they're used. For example, during your reveal turns, you may spend your specimen cubes in the axolotl tank, returning them to your personal supply, to acquire face-up cards from the Tleilaxu row. Their cost will be shown in their top right-hand corner. So to gain this one, I would need to spend 2 specimens. Then, just like cards gained from the Imperium row, you add this to your discard pile. Anytime a card is removed from here, immediately replace it with a new one drawn from its deck. Unless the deck runs out, which is rare, but if so, no new cards are drawn. We should now talk about this Reclaimed Forces card because it's also located in the same row, but it's treated differently. It's never taken from the row. Instead, if you spend 3 specimens, you can use it to either recruit 2 troops or resolve this yellow beetle known as the Tleilaxu Icon. And we'll explain what this icon does in a moment. Again, the important thing to remember is that after picking to resolve 1 of its effects, the Reclaimed Forces card is not removed from the row. Also note you can acquire Tleilaxu cards from this row during your turn and or pay to use the Reclaimed Forces effects as many times as you want to and can afford. And that's not all. Some abilities may require you to spend specimens to gain their effects. For example, this Agent action allows you to spend a specimen to gain 4 Solari from the supply. I should also point out that you can always, at any time, choose to return specimens you have in the axolotl back to your supply, which you may wish to do if you need to recruit troops and your supply is empty. Also keep in mind that if an effect lets you gain a card from the Imperium row, you can't take one from the Tleilaxu row instead. You also can't gain these using an effect that refers to or modifies persuasion costs, because as we've seen, these are not purchased with persuasion, but with specimens. All right, now let's learn how to resolve this yellow beetle symbol, known as the Tleilaxu Icon, which we also saw earlier on the Reclaimed Forces card. Anytime you resolve this symbol, you advance your marker one space to the right on this Tleilaxu track, and if the space you enter shows a symbol, resolve its effect. This spot gains you a victory point, and the first player to get here also claims the 2 spice that were added during the setup. Players who advance here later still get the victory point, but not the spice. Another new symbol is this research icon found on various cards and on the updated research station space of the board. Each time you trigger this symbol, advance your research token one space to the right on this track, which for your first move will always bring you to here. And when you enter a space, immediately resolve its symbol. In this case, we'd create a specimen. Now remember, when advancing, you must always move to the right. And normally you'll have a choice between 2 options based on the white paths connecting the spaces. Now sometimes you'll only have one option, like we see here. And this is an interesting space to enter because it shows a research symbol. So that means we'd immediately advance again. Also note, there is no limit to how many pieces can be in the same space, so another player could enter this space later and also gain the reward. Now, this track also provides other benefits. As soon as your piece enters any space of this column, you gain the effects of these 2 symbols for the rest of the game. If your marker gets to any space of this final column, you also unlock the symbols here. So let's go through and see how each of these 4 symbols work. These are known as genetic markers, and when resolving a card with abilities that show them, you gain any effects beside the genetic markers you've unlocked so far. So if we played Vicious Talents, while our marker was here, we'd gain 2 swords. Now, if our marker was here or beyond it, we'd gain the regular 2 swords, plus these 2 swords as well. And if our marker was somewhere in this column, we'd gain 2 swords, plus 2 more for this genetic marker, and 2 more for these genetic markers for a total of 6 swords. When you unlock this symbol, it means that for the rest of the game, you may choose to place any Tleilaxu card you acquire directly on top of your deck instead of putting them in your discard pile. This symbol, gained when you get to the last column of the research track, means that any future research icon you trigger won't advance your marker, but instead you get to draw a card from your deck. Okay, now let's discuss a new keyword you'll see assigned to some agent boxes, Graft. When playing one of these during an agent turn, you must always play another card along with it. The card you pair it with can also be a Graft card, like this one, but it doesn't have to be. However it's paired though, you'll gain access to all of the agent icons on both cards. So this means I can send my agent to any space this turn that matches any one of these 3 agent icons. Now in cases where it might matter for resolving other effects in the game, both cards are considered to have sent the agent. You also resolve the agent effects of both cards and the effect of the space that you sent your agent to with them, and you do this in any order you like. Some cards will have an if grafted effect. These only resolve if the card was played as part of a grafted pair, like we see here. When a card refers to the other grafted card, it just means the card that it was grafted with. Cards that are played together in a graft will still go to your discard pile at the end of the round to be shuffled back into your deck. In other words, they're not considered to be permanently paired for the rest of the game. You might combine the cards in different ways later on. I should point out, if a graft card is played during your reveal step, it's resolved like a regular card. You don't play it in a pair. The rules for grafting are only followed when its agent box is being used as part of an agent turn. And those are all of the new rules added by this expansion. Also, the designers recommend that experienced players may enjoy having a little more time to execute their Tleilaxu-fueled strategies, so consider playing until at least 11 victory points are achieved. Or, in a 4-player game, play to 10 points, but start everyone on the 0 space of the victory point track. The game also comes with new cards and rules for solo play, but those I'll leave for you to discover on your own. You'll also find a handy reference to provide additional details on some of the new cards if you have questions while playing, and the back of the rulebook includes a handy reminder about each of the new symbols that you'll encounter. But otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play the Immortality expansion for Dune Imperium. If you have any questions at all about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. And for more content and perks, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.